The phone call came on a Wednesday morning while I was organizing files in my home office. My screen lit up with my brother's name, and I picked up already knowing this wouldn't be a simple hello. "Sophia, I need you to watch the kids this Saturday," Marcus said. No greeting, no pleasantries, just straight to the demand like my entire existence revolved around solving his problems. I set down the folder I'd been holding and moved to the window, looking out at the San Diego skyline. "Saturday. That's in 4 days, Marcus. I have plans." "Change them." His voice had that edge I'd grown to recognize over the years, that tone that said he'd already decided my answer and wasn't interested in hearing otherwise. "Keisha and I have a wedding to attend. It's mandatory. Her cousin's getting married and we can't miss it." I took a slow breath, counting to 5 the way my therapist taught me. "Why can't you hire a sitter?" "Because sitters cost money during wedding season and your family." He said it like that explained everything, like sharing DNA meant I had no right to my own schedule or personal life. "Besides, the kids love spending time with their aunt. You'll enjoy it. Enjoy it." Spending an entire Saturday watching 4 children aged 3 to 12 while my brother and his wife danced at some reception. Meanwhile, I had actual plans. Dinner reservations with my girlfriend Maya at that new restaurant she'd been wanting to try, followed by a concert we'd bought tickets for 2 months ago. Plans that mattered to me. "I really can't," I said, keeping my tone even. "Maya and I have dinner reservations and concert tickets. We've been looking forward to this for weeks." Marcus's voice turned sharp. "So bring Maya along. She can help. This is family, Sophia. Family comes first. Or have you forgotten what that means?" The irony of those words almost made me laugh out loud. Family came first when he needed something from me. But where was that same energy when I'd needed help last year? When I was recovering from surgery and asked if someone could bring me groceries? When I moved into my new place and could have used an extra set of hands? The selective memory of convenience. "I haven't forgotten anything," I replied carefully. "But 4 days' notice for an all-day commitment isn't reasonable, Marcus." "Not reasonable?" He actually raised his voice. "You know what's not reasonable? Your selfishness. Mom and Dad already said they're disappointed you didn't come to the family barbecue last month. Now you're going to bail on helping with the kids too?" I had skipped that barbecue, and I'd do it again without hesitation. 40 people packed into my parents' backyard in the July heat, everyone expecting me to run around serving food and drinks while Marcus sat in a lawn chair complaining about work, while Keisha complained about how hard parenting was, while everyone took and nobody ever thought to ask if I needed anything. "Marcus, I'm not trying to bail on anyone. I'm simply saying I have other plans that I made first." "Break them." His voice went cold, calculated. "Watch the kids on Saturday or don't bother coming to Dad's birthday dinner next week. Mom and Dad are with me on this." My chest tightened. There it was. The threat he always used when he didn't get his way. Exclude me. Weaponize our parents. Paint me as the villain for daring to have boundaries. I'd watched this pattern play out so many times I could probably write a manual on it. "Let me understand this correctly," I said slowly. "You're threatening to exclude me from Dad's birthday because I won't cancel my plans with 72 hours notice to babysit?" "Exactly," he said, and I could hear the smugness in his voice. "Choose, Sophia, family or your girlfriend." I felt anger building hot in my throat, but I made myself smile even though he couldn't see it. Something about smiling helped, made my voice come out lighter. "Sure, no problem, I'll watch them." The surprise in his pause was almost satisfying. "You will?" "Of course. Family comes first, right? What time should I be there?" 10 in the morning, he said, his tone softening now that he thought he'd won. "And Sophia, thanks. I know the kids will have a great time with you." I ended the call and stood perfectly still in my office, that cold smile still on my face. Through my window, I could see people walking their dogs along the harbor, joggers passing by, everyone living their regular Wednesday, while mine had just shifted into something else entirely. Sure, I'd said. No problem. And I meant it, because the problem I was about to solve had nothing to do with showing up to babysit. It had everything to do with the surprise I'd been planning for months, the family gift I'd been so excited to reveal at Dad's birthday dinner next week. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If you feel my words, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us build this community so we can bring more interesting and exciting stories for you from around the world. Your help is much appreciated. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. I pulled up my laptop and opened my email, scrolling until I found the confirmation from Sunset Paradise Resort in Hawaii. $22,000 for a 10-day family vacation. Oceanfront villa accommodations for 15 people. All meals included. Snorkeling excursions, spa treatments, luau dinner shows. I'd booked it back in April, paid every cent in full, kept it completely secret because I wanted to see their faces when I announced it at Dad's birthday celebration. My finger hovered over the cancellation button. The booking was entirely in my name, paid from my personal account, mine to control completely. I thought about Marcus's voice on the phone. Choose, Sophia. Family or your girlfriend. He'd drawn his line in the sand, never imagining I might actually cross it. I clicked into the cancellation policy and started reading, that cold smile spreading wider. But I didn't cancel it right then. Not yet. First, I needed to think about how I'd gotten to this point, to this moment where canceling a $22,000 gift felt easier than continuing to let my family treat me like their personal assistant and emergency fund. It started gradually, the way these things always do. 12 years ago, when Marcus and Keisha had their first baby, I bought the nursery furniture. Not helped with it, bought it. Every piece. Because they were struggling financially, even though they both had stable jobs. Then came the medical bills when the baby had colic, the emergency car repairs, the never-ending stream of crises that somehow always required my bank account to fix. I made excellent money as a software project manager at a tech company downtown, 6 figures, good benefits, stock options, and I had no children, no spouse, no massive expenses. To my family, that made me the designated ATM machine, always available, never allowed to say the account was closed. Marcus, meanwhile, worked as a sales manager at a furniture store, a job he constantly complained about but never tried to leave. Keisha worked part-time doing administrative work from home, a schedule she claimed was necessary for the kids but really just meant she had more time to tell me how exhausted she was. They had 4 children now, lived in a house that seemed perpetually on the edge of some financial disaster, and drove vehicles that broke down with suspicious regularity. And every single time, I was expected to help. Last March, their water heater exploded and flooded the basement. $4,000 for replacement and repairs. I paid it because I couldn't stand the thought of my nieces and nephews without hot water. Keisha thanked me with an Instagram post about being blessed, never once mentioning who actually wrote that check. In June, their oldest needed dental surgery. $3,500. I covered half because Marcus called me crying about how the kid was in pain and they couldn't afford it. He promised to pay me back within 2 months. I'm still waiting. September brought another car crisis. The transmission died on their SUV and they needed it fixed immediately. $2,800. Marcus promised he'd get me back by Christmas. Christmas came and went without even a card. The math was brutal and simple. In the last year alone, I'd given or loaned my brother close to $17,000. Over the 12 years since his first child was born, that number climbed well past $150,000. Money I'd never see again. Money I gave because family helps family, right? Except the help only ever flowed one direction. When I bought my condo 3 years ago, I asked if anyone could help me move some furniture. Marcus said he had a work thing. Keisha said the kids had soccer practice. Mom said she wasn't feeling well. Dad said his back was acting up. I hired movers and spent the whole weekend unpacking alone, ordering takeout for one, wondering why I bothered maintaining these relationships. When I had surgery last year for a hernia and needed someone to drive me home from the hospital, I called Marcus. He said he couldn't miss work. I called my parents. Mom said she had a hair appointment. Dad said he had a meeting. Maya, who I'd been dating for only 3 months at that point, took the entire day off to drive me, wait during surgery, and stay with me for 2 days afterward. When I got promoted last year, a major advancement that came with a 30% raise and a leadership position, I called my parents excited to share the news. Dad congratulated me and then immediately asked if I could loan Marcus money for the kids' school supplies. Nobody ever brought up my promotion again. I gave and gave and gave. They took and took and took. Somewhere in that cycle, I stopped being a person to them and became a resource instead. A problem solver. A checkbook with a pulse. The Hawaii trip was supposed to be different. I'd spent months researching resorts, coordinating dates when everyone would be free, picking activities each family member would enjoy. I pictured gathering everyone at Dad's birthday dinner, handing out envelopes with the trip details inside, watching their faces light up with genuine gratitude. I imagined Marcus thanking me for my generosity. I imagined my parents being proud of how successful I'd become, proud that I could afford something this incredible for everyone. I imagined just once being valued as more than an emergency contact for financial problems, but that was the fantasy. The reality was Marcus calling me 4 days before Saturday, not to thank me for years of support, but to demand I cancel my personal plans to watch his children, not asking, demanding, not requesting, threatening. Watch the kids or you're banned from Dad's birthday. I thought about that threat and felt something fundamental shift in my understanding of my worth to these people. They didn't value me. They valued my availability. They didn't love me. They loved what I provided for them. And if I was going to be excluded from family events for having the audacity to have my own life, for daring to prioritize my own plans for once, then what exactly was I paying $22,000 for? The question sat heavy in my quiet office, and I realized I already knew the answer. I was paying to maintain the illusion that we were a close family, that their affection could be purchased, that if I just gave enough and sacrificed enough and bent enough, eventually they'd see me as something beyond a walking wallet. But illusions cost too much, and I was finished paying for this one. I didn't cancel the reservation that afternoon. Instead, I went to my living room, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat on my balcony watching sailboats move across the harbor. Maya called around 6, her voice warm and concerned. "How was your day?" she asked, and I could hear her moving around her apartment, probably making dinner. "Interesting," I said, taking a sip of wine. "Marcus called." She groaned softly. Maya had been with me for almost a year now, long enough to fully understand my family dynamics and smart enough to mostly keep her opinions to herself unless I asked. What did he want this time? Babysitting on Saturday, all day, 4 kids, no discussion. And you said no, right? Her tone was hopeful but uncertain. She knew me too well. I said yes, actually. Silence stretched between us for a long moment. Sophia, we have plans, dinner reservations, concert tickets. I know, I said. I watched a seagull land on the railing, its beady eyes studying me. But he threatened to ban me from Dad's birthday dinner if I refused. Mom and Dad backed him up. That's manipulation. Maya's voice went hard with anger on my behalf, and that protectiveness made my chest warm. You know that's not okay, right? That's controlling and wrong, and you don't have to accept it. I know, I said quietly, which is why I'm not actually going to babysit. Another pause, this one confused. I don't follow. So I told her about the Hawaii trip, about the $22,000 I'd spent, about the surprise I'd been planning for months. I told her about the years of financial support, the emergencies that weren't really emergencies, the one-sided nature of every single relationship with my blood relatives. I'm going to cancel it, I said finally. The entire trip, and I'm not going to tell them I was the one who booked it. Wait. Maya's voice filled with something between admiration and worry. They don't even know you planned this? Nobody knows. I wanted it to be a complete surprise. Sophia, that's... She paused, then laughed, sharp and surprised. That's actually brilliant. They're going to lose their minds. Probably, I said. I felt calmer than I had in months, maybe years. But I realized something today. I've been trying to purchase their love for 12 years, and it hasn't worked. They don't appreciate what I do. They just expect more and more. So I'm done. You're taking back your gift. I'm taking back my dignity, I corrected. The gift is just symbolic. We talked for another hour. Maya offered to come over, but I told her I needed the evening alone to think. She understood, another reason I was falling in love with her. She respected my space when I needed it, gave support when I asked for it, treated me like a complete person instead of a resource to be managed. That night, I pulled up the resort website again and looked through all the booking details. 15 people, 10 days. Oceanfront accommodations with private beach access, surf lessons for the kids, spa packages for the adults, traditional luau dinner with fire dancers. I'd imagined every detail, planned every moment, made sure everyone's preferences were included. Marcus's kids would have loved the tide pools. My parents would have enjoyed the sunset dinners. Keisha could have actually relaxed for once. It would have been perfect, the kind of family memory that lasts forever. But they didn't deserve it. The thought felt cruel and liberating at the same time. They didn't deserve my generosity because they'd never truly valued it. Every gift I gave became an expectation for the next one. Every boundary I tried to set got trampled. Every time I said no, I got punished. I thought about Marcus's voice on the phone. Watch the kids or your band. Like my presence at Dad's birthday was a privilege I had to earn through servitude. Like my worth was measured solely by my usefulness. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Marcus told me you agreed to babysit. Thank you for being reasonable, honey. Family takes care of family. I stared at that message for a long time. Thank you for being reasonable. Not thank you for rearranging your plans. Not thank you for your sacrifice. Not I'm sorry we put you in this position. Thank you for being reasonable, as if having boundaries made me unreasonable, as if wanting my own life made me difficult. Another text came through, this one from Marcus. The kids are excited you're coming Saturday. Can you bring lunch for everyone? I'll pay you back. He wouldn't pay me back. He never did. And the fact that he was already adding demands to the time I'd supposedly volunteered made my jaw clench. I typed and deleted several responses before settling on a simple thumbs-up emoji. Let him think everything was fine. Let him make his plans for Saturday, comfortable in the knowledge that his sister would handle everything like always. The next morning, I woke up early and called the resort. The customer service representative was friendly and helpful, expressing genuine regret that I needed to cancel such a beautiful booking. Family emergency, I explained, which wasn't entirely a lie. My family's entitlement had definitely reached emergency levels. The cancellation went smoothly. Full refund minus a $700 processing fee, which hurt but felt worth it. $21,300 back in my account, and with it, a sense of control I hadn't felt in years. I didn't tell anyone, not Maya, not my coworker Jennifer, who knew about the trip, not my college friend Destiny, who'd helped me research resorts. I kept the cancellation to myself like a weapon, waiting for exactly the right moment. That moment came on Friday, one day before Saturday, when Mom called to remind me about my babysitting duties. Sophia, sweetheart, I just want to confirm you'll be at Marcus's house by 10. Tomorrow morning. Mom's voice had that particular tone she used when preparing to lecture me, sweet on the surface but firm underneath. I was at my desk at work, halfway through my last day before a long weekend. Around me, coworkers were finishing projects and making plans. Someone had brought donuts. The office felt relaxed, which made Mom's call feel even more intrusive. "That's what I told Marcus," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Good, good." Mom paused, and I could practically hear her organizing her thoughts for whatever came next. "I know you had plans with Maya, but family really does come first, honey. Marcus and Keisha need this time together. Marriage is work, especially with 4 children. You'll understand someday when you settle down properly." The casual dismissal of my relationship stung. Maya and I had been together almost a year, serious enough that we'd talked about moving in together next spring. But to my mother, my relationship was somehow less important than my brother's need for a free babysitter. "I understand," I said, because arguing accomplished nothing. "And Sophia?" Mom's voice shifted into what she probably thought was gentle guidance. "I know you've been generous with Marcus over the years, and we appreciate it. But being family means showing up when needed, not just when it's convenient. Do you understand what I'm saying?" My hand tightened on my phone. "I think I do, Mom." "I knew you would." Relief flooded her voice. "You've always been such a practical girl. Now I'm making Dad's favorite pot roast for his birthday dinner next week, and I ordered that coconut cake you love from the bakery. It'll be wonderful having everyone together, as long as I obeyed." The condition hung unspoken between us. After we hung up, I sat very still at my desk, trying to process the conversation. My mother had just thanked me for years of financial support in one breath, then reminded me that physical presence mattered more in the next. She'd praised my generosity while simultaneously demanding more. She'd called me practical for giving in to Marcus's manipulation. And somewhere in that conversation, something inside me finally, completely broke. I'd spent 12 years trying to be enough for these people. Enough money, enough time, enough sacrifice, enough compliance. I'd twisted myself into shapes that didn't fit, swallowed words that needed saying, written checks I couldn't afford emotionally, even if I could financially. And it was never enough, would never be enough, because the problem wasn't that I wasn't giving enough. The problem was they'd learned they could take everything and I'd never stop them. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Mom said you're all set for tomorrow. Super excited. Also, can you bring craft supplies? The kids want to do art projects and we're out." Craft supplies on top of lunch. On top of an entire day of childcare I hadn't actually volunteered for. I texted back a simple, "Sure," then opened my laptop and pulled up the family group chat Marcus had created months ago. It was called the Hayes family, with way too many emojis, and included Mom, Dad, Marcus, Keisha, me, and our cousin DeAndre, who lived in Atlanta. The chat had been quiet recently, mostly Marcus posting pictures of his kids and Mom sharing recipes. But I scrolled back to September and found a conversation I remembered seeing but hadn't paid much attention to at the time. Marcus had written, "Can't wait for the holidays this year. Got a feeling something amazing is about to happen." Mom had responded, "What kind of amazing thing?" Marcus, "Can't say yet, but trust me, this is going to be the best family celebration we've ever had. Let's just say someone's planning something incredible." My stomach dropped as I kept reading. DeAndre, "Yo, who's planning something? Do I need to step up my gift game?" Marcus, "All I'm saying is a certain someone might be treating the family to something very special, something that involves travel." Mom, "Marcus, if you know something, you need to share it properly." Marcus, "I'm not saying anything specific, but maybe everyone should check their schedules for early February. That's all I'm saying." I stared at the messages, ice forming in my veins. A certain someone might be treating the family, something that involves travel. Marcus knew. Somehow, some way, my brother had found out about the Hawaii trip, and instead of thanking me privately, instead of showing any appreciation or gratitude, he'd been teasing the family with hints, building anticipation, taking partial credit for knowing about something I'd worked so hard to keep secret. I scrolled further and found more messages from October. Marcus, 2 weeks ago. "Okay, I really can't keep quiet much longer. Let's just say this February vacation is going to be next level. Dad, you're killing us with this mystery talk, son." Marcus, "Trust me, it'll be worth the wait. Best family trip we've ever taken. Someone really came through for us." Best family trip we've ever taken. Someone really came through. He was talking about my gift, like he had something to do with it, like he'd earned the right to announce it, like it was his news to share. I switched to Facebook and searched Marcus's profile. 3 weeks ago, he'd posted a status, "Counting down to an incredible family adventure. Feeling blessed to have people who make amazing things happen." The post had 53 likes and 22 comments asking what the adventure was. Marcus had responded to several with winking emojis and "you'll see soon" messages. He was building social media hype around a gift I hadn't revealed yet. He was taking ownership of my surprise, my planning, my $22,000. My hands shook as I closed the laptop. I thought about calling him, demanding to know how he found out. But what would be the point? He'd deny it, minimize it, find some way to make me the villain for being upset. Instead, I pulled out my phone and texted Maya. He knows about the trip, been bragging about it online like it's his surprise to announce. Her response came immediately. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. He's been teasing the family about it for months." "Sophia, you need to confront him." "Why?" I typed back. "He'll just gaslight me. They always do." 3 dots appeared as she typed, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Then cancel it and don't tell him. Let him look like he was lying when nothing happens." I sat with Maya's message for a long time, watching my coworkers pack up their things and head out for the weekend. Someone had turned on holiday music even though it wasn't quite time yet, and the sound felt surreal against the anger building in my chest. Let him look like a liar when nothing happens. The thought was delicious and terrible. Marcus had spent months hyping up a surprise that wasn't his to share, taking credit for generosity he hadn't shown, building expectations he couldn't fulfill. If the trip simply didn't materialize, he'd be the one left looking foolish. But was that enough? Was public embarrassment sufficient punishment for 12 years of using me? I thought about every unpaid loan, every emergency that wasn't really an emergency. every guilt trip and manipulation. I thought about 2 days in the hospital after surgery with only Maya by my side. I thought about moving into my condo alone. I thought about birthday cards that never came and thank yous that were never said. I thought about Marcus's voice on the phone. Watch the kids or you're banned from Dad's birthday. No, public embarrassment wasn't enough. I wanted them to understand exactly what they'd lost. I wanted them to feel the weight of their entitlement and disrespect. I wanted them to know with absolute certainty that I was finished being their safety net. The resort had already been canceled, the money refunded to my account. But the family didn't know that yet. As far as they were concerned, the mystery trip Marcus kept hinting about was still happening. I opened a new note on my phone and started typing a timeline. Dad's birthday was next Friday, 6 days away. The Hawaii trip was supposed to start February 8th, a little over 2 months from now. If I stayed quiet about the cancellation, they wouldn't discover the truth until they tried to get details. But that felt passive. I didn't want to wait for them to figure it out. I wanted to control the moment, to see their faces when they realized what they'd lost. An idea started forming, cruel and perfect. I pulled up the family group chat again and read through Marcus's hints and announcements. He'd never actually said what the surprise was, just that it involved travel and would be incredible. He'd built anticipation without having any real information to share. What if I let that anticipation build higher? What if I gave them just enough information to get their hopes up completely, then revealed the truth in the most devastating way possible? My phone rang, interrupting my planning. Dad's name flashed across the screen. "Hi, Dad," I answered, forcing brightness into my voice. "Sophia, your mother told me about the babysitting situation tomorrow." He sounded uncomfortable, the way he always did when forced to mediate family drama. "I want you to know we appreciate you being flexible." Flexible. An interesting word for being threatened and manipulated. "Of course," I said sweetly. "Family comes first." "That's my girl." Relief flooded his voice. "I know Marcus can be demanding sometimes, but he's got a lot on his plate with those kids. He needs support." "And what do I need, Dad?" The question slipped out before I could stop it. Silence stretched between us for several seconds. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what about my needs? What about my plans? What about my life outside of being Marcus's backup plan?" "Sophia, that's not fair." His voice took on a defensive edge. "We've always supported you." "Have you?" I kept my tone light, curious rather than confrontational. "When's the last time you actually supported me, Dad? Specifically?" "We came to your promotion celebration last year." "That was 18 months ago, and you left early because Marcus needed you to pick up his kids from practice." The memory was crystal clear and bitter. "You missed my boss's speech about my achievements." "That was one time, Sophia. You're being dramatic." One time. Like I hadn't been keeping score for years, adding up every missed moment, every broken promise, every instance of Marcus's needs trumping mine. "You're right," I said, making my voice apologetic. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm just stressed with work." "We all have stress, honey. That's part of being an adult." He paused, then added, "Your mother mentioned Marcus has been hinting about some kind of family trip. You know anything about that?" My heart rate picked up. Why would I know anything? "Well, you're the one with the resources." He chuckled like it was a joke, but I could hear the fishing expedition underneath. "If anyone could afford to surprise the family with a vacation, it'd be you." So that's how Marcus knew. He hadn't found proof. He'd made an educated guess based on who in the family had money, and my parents had helped him speculate. Probably spent hours discussing who could afford such a generous gift, landing on me because of course they did. I was the bank, Always the bank. I don't know what Marcus is talking about, I lied smoothly. But I hope whatever he's planning works out. Dad sounded disappointed. Well, if you were planning something like that, I hope you'd include your old man. If I were planning something like that, I said, carefully, I'd make sure everyone who deserved it was included. We hung up shortly after, and I sat in my office feeling strangely calm. They'd all but confirmed they expected me to fund their vacation. They'd discussed it amongst themselves, speculated about it, gotten their hopes up about it. And Marcus had taken credit for knowing about it without ever thanking me for planning it. The cruelty was breathtaking. Even when I tried to do something kind, something generous and surprising, they found a way to take it for granted before it even happened. I texted Jennifer, my coworker who knew about the trip, because I'd asked her advice on Hawaiian resorts. Change of plans. I canceled the family vacation. Her response came quickly. What happened? Long story, but I need a favor. Can you keep a secret until after next Friday? Always, what's going on? My family thinks I'm still taking them to Hawaii. I want them to keep thinking that for a few more days. Sophia, that's deliciously evil. I love it. What's your plan? I smiled at my phone screen, that cold, calculated expression becoming familiar. Still working out the details, but it involves Dad's birthday dinner and a very public announcement. I'm here for this level of revenge. Keep me updated. I promised I would, then gathered my things and left the office. It was nearly empty now, just a few people finishing up. I wished them a good weekend as I passed, feeling lighter than I had in days. At home, I poured myself wine and settled onto my couch with my laptop. I had some planning to do. Saturday morning came cold and clear in San Diego. I woke to a string of texts from Marcus with detailed instructions about the kids. What time to arrive, what to feed them, when naps were scheduled, which child had which allergy or preference. The messages read like a military operations manual, and nowhere in them was a single word of genuine thanks. The last text said, "Don't let them watch more than 2 hours of TV. Keisha and I have our phones if you need anything. We'll be home around 11 tonight." 11 at night, 13 hours of childcare. I stared at that message and felt the decision I'd already made solidify completely. I texted back, "Actually, we need to talk. Can I call you?" 3 dots appeared immediately, then my phone rang. "What's wrong?" Marcus sounded suspicious already. "Sophia, you promised." "I know what I promised," I said calmly. "But something came up with work and I might be delayed. Maybe I could get there around noon instead of 10? "No." The word was flat and absolute. "No, we have to leave by 10:30 to make it to the wedding on time. You promised to be here at 10, Sophia. You can't back out now." "I'm not backing out," I lied. "I'm just saying I might be a couple hours late. Can't you push your departure time back? The wedding starts at 2 and it's a 3-hour drive." His voice was rising. "We can't be late. This is Keisha's family, Sophia. This is important. So are my work obligations. Then tell work you have a family emergency." He was almost shouting now. "This is more important than your job." "Is it?" I kept my voice mild, curious. "More important than the career that pays for all those emergencies you keep having?" Silence. Then, "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm tired of being taken for granted, Marcus. It means I'm tired of dropping everything for you while you never show up for me." "That's not fair. We've always been there for you." "Really? When?" "We..." He trailed off, clearly scrambling. "We're family, Sophia. We're always there for each other." "You weren't there when I had surgery. You weren't there when I moved. You weren't there for my promotion celebration. You're never there, Marcus, unless you need money." That's a terrible thing to say. His voice went cold. After everything we've done for you. What have you done for me? I felt my own voice hardening. Specifically, Marcus, what have you actually done? We include you in family events. We invite you to things. We make you part of our kids' lives. You include me when it's convenient. You invite me when you need something. And you use your kids as leverage to manipulate me. I can't believe I'm hearing this. He sounded genuinely shocked. Is this Maya talking? Has she been poisoning you against your own family? Maya has nothing to do with this. This is me finally recognizing that I deserve better than how you treat me. Fine. His voice went arctic. Don't come today. Don't come to Dad's birthday next week either. If you can't show up for family, you don't deserve to be part of family celebrations. Your decision, I said quietly. Not mine. You're the one drawing these lines, Marcus. And you're the one choosing your girlfriend over your own blood. No, I felt surprisingly calm. I'm choosing myself. There's a difference. Whatever helps you sleep at night. He paused, and I could hear him breathing hard, trying to control himself. You know what? You're going to regret this. When you miss out on the family trip next year, when you're not included in things anymore, you're going to realize what you lost. Family trip? I let curiosity color my voice. What family trip? Don't play dumb, Sophia. I know you're planning something for February. I know you booked Hawaii for all of us. My breath caught. How did you know that? Please, he scoffed. You're not as subtle as you think. Plus, Mom and Dad figured it out weeks ago. Who else could afford to take 15 people to Hawaii for 10 days? So, you've been taking credit for my surprise, I said softly. Building it up on social media, making it about you. I was helping build anticipation. I was making it special. It was my gift to announce Marcus, my surprise, my gesture, and you took that from me too. Oh, please, don't be so dramatic. You were going to announce it anyway. I was going to announce it at Dad's birthday dinner, I said, as a surprise. But since you've already ruined that, let me tell you something else. I canceled the trip. Complete silence. What? His voice was barely a whisper. I canceled it. Yesterday, actually. Got my full refund minus the processing fee. $21,300 back in my account. You're lying, but I could hear the panic creeping into his voice. I'm not lying. I canceled the entire trip, the villa, the excursions, all of it, because I realized something important. I took a breath, feeling powerful and certain. I realized you don't appreciate me. None of you do. You see me as a resource, not as a person. And I'm finished being used. Sophia, wait! Panic flooded his voice now. You can't just cancel a family vacation. Everyone's expecting it. I told people. You told people about a trip you had no part in planning or funding. You took credit for my generosity before I even had a chance to give it. You made my gift about you. How was I supposed to know you'd have a meltdown over babysitting? He was shouting again. This is insane, Sophia. What's insane is you threatening to exclude me from family events for having boundaries. What's insane is treating me like hired help instead of your sister. What's insane is spending 12 years taking my money and never once saying thank you. We've thanked you. Have you? When? Show me one text, one email, one card where you genuinely thanked me for all the money I've given you. For the furniture, the medical bills, the car repairs, the endless emergencies. Show me where you've ever expressed actual gratitude instead of just expectation for more. Silence. That's what I thought, I said quietly. Enjoy the wedding, Marcus. I hope it's worth $22,000. I ended the call and immediately turned off my phone. My hands were shaking, but I felt strangely exhilarated. I'd actually done it. I'd actually stood up to him. For the next hour, I sat in my quiet apartment and waited, knowing what was coming. The calls, the texts, the emails, the family group chat would explode. My parents would get involved. There would be anger and accusations and desperate attempts at damage control. But I wouldn't see any of it until I was ready. I turned on my laptop and opened the family group chat, setting it to silent notifications only. Then I made myself breakfast, settled onto my couch with coffee, and watched the chaos unfold. The family group chat exploded exactly as I'd anticipated. I watched the messages cascade down my screen, one after another, refusing to respond to any of them. Marcus. Sophia canceled the Hawaii trip. She's having a breakdown over babysitting. Mom. What Hawaii trip? Sophia, what is Marcus talking about? Marcus. The family vacation she planned? 10 days in Hawaii. She canceled it because I asked her to watch the kids. Dad. Sophia, call me right now. DeAndre. Hold up. There was an actual trip? I thought Marcus was just being dramatic about something. Keisha. This is completely unacceptable. Sophia, you can't cancel a family vacation because you're throwing a tantrum. Marcus. She's being absolutely ridiculous. Can you believe this? Mom. Sophia, please answer your phone. We need to discuss this like adults. The messages kept coming, each one more desperate or angry than the last. I watched them accumulate with a sense of calm detachment, like observing a storm through a window while staying perfectly dry inside. Around 11, my phone started ringing. Mom first, then Dad, then Marcus again, then Keisha. I ignored every call. Maya texted asking if I was okay, and I assured her I was fine, just watching the fallout play out. She offered to come over, but I told her I needed some time alone to process everything. At noon, Marcus sent a private message separate from the group chat. Sophia, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have threatened to exclude you from Dad's birthday. Please uncancel the trip. The kids were really looking forward to it. I almost laughed. The kids didn't even know about the trip. They'd never known. This apology wasn't about them. It was about Marcus saving face after months of building up a surprise he couldn't deliver. At 1:30, Mom tried a different approach in a private text to me. Sweetheart, I don't understand what happened, but I'm sure we can work through this. Please call me so we can talk about this calmly. Calmly, as if I was the one being irrational for having boundaries. At 2, Dad left a voicemail that I listened to on speaker. Sophia, this is getting completely out of control. I don't know what Marcus said to you, but you can't hold the entire family hostage over a personal disagreement. That vacation wasn't just about you. It affected everyone. You need to think beyond your own hurt feelings here. My own hurt feelings. 12 years of financial and emotional exploitation, and my feelings were the problem. I made myself lunch, watched a movie, checked the group chat periodically to observe the chaos escalating. Marcus had shifted from apologetic to defensive, now claiming I'd promised the family a vacation and was cruelly backing out. Mom was trying to mediate while obviously taking Marcus's side. Dad had gone quiet, which usually meant he was furious and trying to calm down before saying something he'd regret. DeAndre sent me a private message around 3. Look, I'm staying out of the drama, but Marcus has been insufferable about this mystery trip for months. If you actually planned something and he messed it up, I don't blame you for canceling. Family stuff is complicated. It was the closest thing to support I'd received from anyone in my family, and I appreciated it, even though DeAndre was still carefully avoiding taking a clear side. At 4, Marcus sent another message. Fine, you win. I'll apologize however you want. I'll do it publicly if that's what you need. Just please, please uncancel the trip. I'll even figure out a way to pay you back some of the money. He wouldn't pay me back. We both knew it. but the offer itself was revealing. He was desperate enough to make promises he had no intention of keeping. I finally responded to the group chat at 5, right when Marcus and Keisha should have been at their wedding reception. I understand everyone is upset about the Hawaii trip. I think we need to discuss this in person. I'll be at Mom and Dad's house next Friday for Dad's birthday dinner at 6. The response was immediate. Marcus, you're not invited to Dad's birthday. Mom, Sophia, sweetheart, Marcus is very hurt right now. Maybe it's better if you skip next week and we all talk after everyone's calmed down. Dad, your mother's right. Let's give this some space. I stared at those messages, feeling something cold and final settle in my chest. Even now, even when I was the one who'd spent $22,000 trying to do something generous, they were choosing Marcus, protecting his feelings at the expense of mine. I typed one final message. I paid for a 10-day vacation for 15 people. I kept it completely secret because I wanted it to be a surprise at Dad's birthday dinner. Marcus somehow found out and spent months taking credit for it on social media before I could even announce it. When he demanded I babysit today and threatened to ban me from family events if I refused, I decided that people who don't value me don't deserve my generosity. I canceled the trip, and I don't regret it. I hit send and watched the chat explode again. Marcus, that's a complete lie. I never took credit for anything. But DeAndre had already responded. Man, I saw your Facebook posts. You definitely implied you knew about it and made it sound like you were involved. Mom, this isn't about who said what. This is about family and forgiveness. I turned off my phone completely and went to Maya's apartment where she'd promised to make dinner and let me decompress for as long as I needed. The week that followed was surprisingly peaceful. I kept my phone off for most of it, checking messages only once a day to scan for anything genuinely urgent. The family group chat had devolved into arguments about who was right and who was wrong. Marcus had posted screenshots of our private conversations, carefully edited to make himself look reasonable and me look unstable. Mom had sent 14 individual texts begging me to reconsider, each one longer and more desperate than the last. Dad had sent 3 terse messages about family responsibility and disappointing behavior. But the most interesting development came from my Aunt Lorraine, Mom's sister, who texted me Wednesday evening. Your mother called me crying. About everything that happened. I told her the truth. You don't owe any of them a vacation. You don't owe Marcus free childcare. You don't owe anyone anything. I'm proud of you for finally setting boundaries, baby girl. I read that message multiple times, feeling warmth spread through my chest. Someone in my family understood. Someone saw what I'd been experiencing. Thursday afternoon, I got a message from an unexpected source. My nephew Caleb, Marcus's oldest at 12 years old. Aunt Sophia, I heard about the Hawaii trip. I'm sorry Dad messed it up. He told us about it last month and we were really excited, but I understand why you canceled it. Dad asks you for money all the time, and I don't think he ever says thank you. I wanted you to know I appreciate everything you do for us. That message made me cry. This child, this 12-year-old boy, understood something his father never would. Friday arrived with pale December sunshine and a sense of calm determination. I got dressed in the outfit I'd planned to wear to Dad's birthday dinner. A burgundy dress, good boots, simple jewelry. Maya offered to come with me for support, but I told her this was something I needed to do alone. You sure? She asked, walking me to my car. They're going to ambush you. I know, I kissed her quickly, but I need to say what I need to say, and then I need to walk away. Probably for good. I'll be here when you get back, she promised, and I drove to my parents' house in the suburbs. I arrived at exactly 6. The driveway was packed. Marcus's SUV, Keisha's van, DeAndre's rental car, my parents' sedan. Everyone was here. I let myself in through the front door without knocking. The house smelled like pot roast and birthday cake, familiar scents that usually meant comfort, but today just felt heavy. Voices came from the dining room, tense with argument. I walked in to find them all gathered around the table, clearly in the middle of a heated discussion that stopped the instant they saw me. Marcus stood up first, his face flushed. "You've got some nerve showing up here." "Marcus, please." Mom stood too, her hands fluttering anxiously. "Sophia, honey, I'm glad you came. We need to talk about all of this calmly." "There's nothing calm about what she did." Marcus's voice rose. "She canceled a vacation out of pure spite. She's punishing children because she's selfish." I stood perfectly still in the doorway, looking at each of them. Marcus vibrating with anger, Keisha behind him looking self-righteous, Mom wringing her hands, Dad in his chair, not quite meeting my eyes, DeAndre on the couch, watching everything with careful neutrality. "I didn't come here to argue," I said quietly. "I came here to say something I should have said 12 years ago. Sophia, if you could just—" Mom started, but I held up my hand. "Please let me finish." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I've spent 12 years trying to buy your love. I've paid for emergencies that weren't emergencies. I've loaned money I knew I'd never see again. I've rearranged my entire life to accommodate your needs while you ignored mine completely. And I did it because I thought eventually you'd see me as more than a bank account." "That's not fair," Dad said, finally looking at me. "We've never treated you that way." "You banned me from family events for not babysitting." I looked directly at Marcus. "You threatened to exclude me from Dad's birthday because I had other plans. How is that not treating me like my only value is what I can do for you?" Marcus crossed his arms. "You're twisting everything. I asked you for one favor. You demanded, you threatened, you manipulated." I felt tears threatening but refused to let them fall. "And when I planned something genuinely generous, something that cost me $22,000 and months of planning, you took credit for it before I could even announce it. You made my gift about you. I never took credit for anything." Marcus's voice cracked slightly. "Your Facebook posts say otherwise." I pulled out my phone and started reading, counting down to an incredible family adventure. "Feeling blessed to have people who make amazing things happen. You'll see soon." I looked up at him. "You made it sound like you were involved in planning it, like you deserved credit for the surprise." Marcus's face went pale, then red. "I was excited. Is that a crime? I was happy something nice was happening for our family." "You were taking credit." I kept my voice steady. "And even if you weren't, even if I'm misinterpreting everything, the fact remains that you threatened to exclude me from family events for having boundaries. That's not okay. That's never okay." Mom stepped forward, her eyes pleading. "Sophia, sweetheart, can we please just move past this? It's your father's birthday. Family forgives family." "Does family?" I looked at her directly. "Because I don't remember you forgiving me when I skipped the barbecue. I don't remember you defending me when Marcus threatened to ban me. I don't remember you ever choosing me over his convenience." "That's not true," Mom said, but her voice wavered. "When I had surgery and needed a ride home from the hospital, where were you?" The question came out harder than I intended. "When I moved into my condo, who helped me? When I got promoted, did anyone celebrate with me, or did you just ask how much money I could loan Marcus?" Silence filled the dining room, heavy and uncomfortable. Dad cleared his throat. "We haven't been perfect, Sophia, but neither have you. You made a commitment to that vacation, and you backed out to punish us." "I made no commitment." I felt anger rising but kept it controlled. I planned a surprise, a gift, and gifts can be revoked when the recipients prove they don't deserve them. We don't deserve a family vacation? Marcus's voice dripped with sarcasm. Because I asked you to babysit? That's insane. Sophia, you didn't ask. You demanded. You threatened. You manipulated. I looked at each of them, and when I finally stood up for myself, every single one of you chose to protect his feelings instead of respecting my boundaries. So yes, I canceled the trip. And I'd do it again. Keisha spoke for the first time, her voice cold. What about the kids, Sophia? They don't deserve to suffer because you're mad at their father. The kids never knew about the trip, I said. Marcus made sure of that by keeping it secret so he could take credit for knowing about it. They're not suffering. They're simply not receiving a gift they never knew existed. DeAndre stood up from the couch. I think Sophia has a point. We've all leaned on her pretty heavily over the years. Maybe this is a wake-up call for all of us. Stay out of this, DeAndre, Marcus snapped. This doesn't concern you. It does if we're supposed to be a family. DeAndre looked at me with something like respect. Sophia's been generous for years, and we've just expected it to continue. Maybe it's time we acknowledged that. Mom looked between us, tears streaming down her face. I can't believe this is happening on your father's birthday. I can't believe my family is falling apart over money. This isn't about money. I felt my own tears coming now and didn't try to stop them. This is about respect. This is about being valued for who I am, not what I can provide. This is about 12 years of being taken for granted while I twisted myself into knots trying to make everyone else happy. So, what do you want? Dad asked, his voice tired and frustrated. An apology? Fine. We're sorry. We're sorry we asked too much. We're sorry Marcus threatened you. Can we please just move forward? I looked at him and saw a man who wanted peace more than justice, who wanted comfort more than truth, who would rather I swallow my hurt than deal with the messy reality of how his family had treated me for over a decade. I don't want your apology, I said softly. I want things to actually change. I want Marcus to respect my time and stop treating me like hired help. I want Mom to stop automatically taking his side. I want Dad to stop pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. I want all of you to see me as a complete person with my own life and my own needs. We do see you that way, Mom insisted, but her voice was weak. Then prove it. I looked at each of them. Prove it by respecting my decision to cancel the trip. Prove it by not guilting me or manipulating me or making me the villain for having boundaries. Prove it by understanding that my generosity is a gift I choose to give, not an obligation I owe. Marcus laughed bitterly. So, unless we grovel and beg forgiveness, you're just going to cut us off? That's emotional manipulation, Sophia. No, I shook my head. I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm simply going to stop setting myself on fire to keep you warm. I'm going to stop giving money I can't afford emotionally. I'm going to stop sacrificing my happiness for yours. And if that feels like abandonment to you, maybe examine why my boundaries feel like punishment. I turned toward the door, then stopped and looked back one final time. The Hawaii trip would have been incredible. You all would have loved it. The kids would have had memories to last a lifetime. And I would have been so proud to give that to you. But you taught me something important these past few days. You taught me that my value to this family is conditional on my compliance, and I deserve better than that. I walked out, got in my car, and drove away. Through my rearview mirror, I could see Marcus standing in the doorway, Keisha beside him. Neither of them followed me. The weeks that followed were strange and quiet. Marcus tried calling twice, but both times it was to ask for money for car repairs. I let the calls go to voicemail. Mom sent long, rambling texts about family and forgiveness and how I was breaking Dad's heart. I responded once, briefly, saying I needed space and time. Keisha sent me a Facebook message telling me I was selfish and cruel and that her children asked about me constantly. I didn't respond, though I knew for a fact the children had never been told why I wasn't around anymore. Dad sent one text 3 weeks after his birthday. "Your mother is heartbroken. I hope you're happy." I wasn't happy exactly, but I was something else, something better. I was free. Maya and I did eventually take a trip, just the two of us. We went to Hawaii in February, stayed in a small bed and breakfast in Maui, spent our days snorkeling and hiking and watching sunsets from our private lanai. It was peaceful and perfect and entirely ours. One evening, sitting on the beach watching fire dancers at a luau, Maya asked me if I regretted canceling the family trip. "No," I said, and I meant it completely. Not even a little bit. "You spent so much money planning it, so much time and energy." "I did," I agreed, watching the flames arc through the darkening sky. "But that money bought me something more valuable than a vacation. It bought me my self-respect back. It taught me that I don't have to accept being treated poorly just because we share DNA." Maya squeezed my hand. "I'm proud of you, you know. It takes real courage to walk away from family." "I didn't walk away," I corrected gently. "I just stopped letting them walk all over me. There's a difference." 3 months after Dad's birthday, I got a message from my nephew Caleb through Instagram. "Aunt Sophia, I wanted you to know Dad and Mom are getting separated. Dad moved out last week. He's been really angry about everything, and I think Mom finally got tired of it. I miss you. I hope you're doing okay." I stared at that message for a long time, feeling a complicated mix of emotions: sadness for Caleb and his siblings, a strange sense of vindication that maybe, finally, Marcus was facing consequences for his behavior, and underneath it all, a firm certainty that I'd made the right choice. I responded, "I'm sorry you're going through this, Caleb. None of it is your fault. I miss you too. When you're 18, if you want to reconnect, I'd like that very much. Until then, take care of yourself." Mom tried to reconcile several more times over the following months, but her efforts always came with conditions. "If you could just help Marcus with his rent since he's going through the separation. If you could just loan Dad money for the new roof. If you could just come to Sunday dinner and pretend everything's fine." Each request confirmed I'd made the right decision. They didn't want to rebuild our relationship. They wanted access to my resources. 6 months after everything fell apart, I got a text from DeAndre. "Hey, Sophia, I know we haven't talked much since everything went down. I wanted to say I've been thinking a lot about how we all treated you over the years. You were right about pretty much everything. Marcus has been impossible since the separation, and watching him try to manipulate everyone has made me see how he treated you. I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you more strongly when it mattered. You deserved better from all of us." It was the first genuine apology I'd received from anyone in my family. I responded simply, "Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know." We started texting occasionally after that, carefully rebuilding a relationship that had been damaged by years of family dysfunction. DeAndre never asked me for money. Never tried to guilt me into reconciling with Marcus or my parents. He just showed up as a cousin, as a friend, as someone who finally understood what I'd been going through. A year after I canceled the Hawaii trip, Maya and I moved in together. We got a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment overlooking the harbor, with enough space for both our home offices and a balcony where we could watch the sunset every evening. We adopted a rescue dog named Bailey and started hosting regular dinners for our chosen family. Friends who showed up for us consistently, who valued us for who we were rather than what we could provide. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If you feel my words, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us build this community so we can bring more interesting and exciting stories for you. From around the world, your help is much appreciated. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too. On the 1-year anniversary of Dad's birthday dinner, Maya and I were sitting on our balcony sharing a bottle of wine when my phone buzzed with a message from a number I didn't recognize. Sophia, this is Keisha. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. Marcus and I finalized our divorce last month. During the proceedings, some financial things came to light. Turns out he'd been taking loans from multiple family members and lying about what the money was for. He borrowed $5,000 from my parents, saying it was for the kids' medical bills, but he used it for a gambling habit I didn't know about. My lawyer found records of at least $40,000 in debt we didn't know existed. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted to say I understand now why you cut him off. I wish I'd seen it sooner. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I showed the message to Maya, who read it with raised eyebrows. How do you feel about that? She asked. Vindicated, I said honestly, and sad for her and the kids, but mostly just grateful I got out when I did. Are you going to respond? I thought about it for a long moment, watching sailboats move across the darkening water. Maybe eventually, but not right now. Right now, I'm just going to sit here with you and our dog and appreciate that I chose myself when it mattered most. Maya raised her wine glass. To choosing yourself. To choosing myself, I echoed, and we clinked glasses as the sun set over the harbor. 2 years after everything happened, I got an unexpected letter in the mail. Handwritten, on nice stationery, postmarked from my parents' address. I almost threw it away without opening it, but something made me hesitate. Inside was a letter from Dad, 3 pages of his careful handwriting. Sophia, your mother didn't want me to write this because she's afraid you'll reject us again. But I need to say some things, and I need to say them without her editing my words or telling me how to make it sound better. You were right. I've spent the past 2 years watching your brother self-destruct and realizing that we enabled it. We enabled his entitlement, his manipulation, his refusal to take responsibility for his own life. And we did it by always having you as a safety net. Every time he screwed up, we knew you'd be there to fix it. Every time he needed money, we knew you'd provide it. We made you responsible for his choices, and that wasn't fair. Marcus is living with his friend now, working 2 part-time jobs to pay child support and cover his debts. Keisha has primary custody of the kids. They're struggling and I can't fix it for them. Your mother keeps saying we should help more, but I finally told her no. We enabled this situation. We can't keep enabling it. I've been thinking a lot about what you said at my birthday dinner, about being valued for who you are rather than what you can provide. About respect and boundaries. I didn't understand it then. I thought you were being dramatic, choosing pride over family. But I understand now. We didn't treat you like family. We treated you like a resource we could access whenever we needed it. We took your generosity for granted and then got angry when you finally said enough. I'm not writing to ask you to come back. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I'm writing to tell you that you were right. And I was wrong, and I'm sorry. You deserved better from me. Better from all of us. Your mother and I are in counseling now, trying to understand how we got here. How we raised one child to be so entitled and made the other child feel like her only value was in giving. The therapist has helped me see patterns I was blind to for decades. If you ever want to rebuild something with us, I would welcome that. But I understand if you don't. You set boundaries and we trampled them. You deserve to protect yourself. I hope you're happy, Sophia. I hope you're building a life that makes you feel valued and respected. I hope you know that the problem was never you. It was always us. I'm proud of you for walking away when you did. It took more courage than staying ever would have. Love, Dad. I read that letter 3 times, sitting at my kitchen table while tears streamed down my face. Maya came home from work to find me still sitting there, the letter spread out in front of me. "Is everything okay?" she asked, immediately concerned. I handed her the letter and watched her read it, her expression shifting from worry to surprise to something soft and understanding. "Wow," she said quietly. That's that's a real apology." "I know." I wiped my eyes. "I don't know what to do with it." "You don't have to do anything with it right now." Maya sat down beside me and took my hand. "You can just sit with it. Feel whatever you need to feel. Decide what you want later." I did sit with it. For weeks, actually. I read the letter multiple times, looking for hidden conditions or subtle manipulations, but there weren't any. It was just a genuine apology from a man who'd finally understood how badly he'd failed his daughter. Eventually, I responded. Not with a long letter, just a simple email. "Dad, thank you for your letter. It meant more to me than you probably know. I'm not ready to rebuild yet, but I appreciate your honesty and your apology. I appreciate you taking responsibility. I am happy. I'm building a life with someone who values me for who I am. I have a career I love and friends who show up for me consistently. I have boundaries and I maintain them. I have self-respect. Maybe someday we can talk more. But for now, I just wanted you to know that I received your letter and I appreciate the courage it took to write it. Thank you for finally seeing me. Sophia." Dad responded simply, "Thank you for giving me hope. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here." 3 years after I canceled the Hawaii trip, I got a message from Caleb. He was 15 now, almost 16, and his message was long and thoughtful. "Aunt Sophia, I wanted to tell you something. I've been saving money for my part-time job, and I'm planning to go to college out of state when I graduate. I don't want to end up like Dad, always blaming other people and expecting everyone else to solve my problems. You probably don't remember this, but when I was 8, you came to my school play. You were the only family member who showed up besides Mom. Dad forgot. Grandma and Grandpa had something else, but you were there. You brought me flowers and told me you were proud of me. I've thought about that a lot over the past few years. You always showed up for us kids even when our own parents didn't. And then Dad drove you away by treating you terribly. I wanted you to know that I noticed. I see now how Dad used you, how everyone used you, and I think you were brave for walking away. I hope when I'm an adult, I have the courage to set boundaries like you did. I graduate in 2 years. I'd really like it if you came to my graduation. No pressure, and I understand if you don't want to because of everything with Dad. But I wanted you to know you're invited, and I'd be honored if you were there. Thanks for being the kind of person who taught me what self-respect looks like. Love, Caleb." I cried reading that message. Then I called him, something I hadn't done in 3 years. "Aunt Sophia?" He sounded surprised and happy. "Hi, sweetheart," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I would be honored to come to your graduation. Absolutely honored." We talked for an hour. He told me about school, about his plans for college, about how he was working hard to not repeat his father's patterns. I told him about my life, about Maya, about our dog Bailey. It felt natural and easy and right. When we hung up, Maya looked at me with knowing eyes. "You're going to the graduation," she stated. "I'm going to the graduation," I confirmed. "And after that?" "After that, I'll see. Maybe I'll slowly rebuild with Caleb and any other family members who can respect my boundaries. Maybe I'll keep things at a distance. I don't know yet, but I know I'm never going back to being anyone's ATM or doormat. Maya kissed my forehead. Good. You deserve so much better than that. 4 years after everything happened, I sat in a high school auditorium watching my nephew Caleb walk across the stage to receive his diploma. Dad and Mom were there, sitting several rows ahead of us. We'd exchanged polite greetings in the parking lot, nothing more. Marcus was there with his girlfriend, looking older and tired. We didn't speak at all, but Caleb saw me in the audience and his face lit up with genuine joy. After the ceremony, he came straight to me and Maya, bypassing his parents entirely. "You came," he said, hugging me tightly. "Of course I came," I hugged him back. "I'm so proud of you." "I got into UC Berkeley," he told me excitedly. "Full academic scholarship. I'm going to study computer science." "That's incredible, Caleb." "It's because of you," he said seriously. "You showed me what it looks like to value yourself enough to walk away from dysfunction. You taught me that family isn't about obligation, it's about respect. I wouldn't be here without that lesson." Behind him, I could see Marcus watching us with an unreadable expression. Mom was crying quietly. Dad looked, proud and sad at the same time. "Your success is because of you," I told Caleb firmly. "Because you worked hard and made good choices. Don't give me credit for your accomplishments." "Can I at least thank you for showing me what self-respect looks like?" "You can thank me for that." I smiled. "And you can stay in touch with me at Berkeley. I want to hear all about your classes and your life there." "Deal." He grinned. That evening, back at our apartment, Maya asked me if I had any regrets. About canceling the trip? About walking away from them? I thought about it carefully, seriously. No, no regrets at all. That $22,000 bought me something priceless. It bought me the clarity to see that I deserved better. It bought me the courage to walk away. It bought me the freedom to build a life on my own terms. And now? Now I have a nephew who understands the value of boundaries. I have a father who's finally taking responsibility. I have a life with someone who loves me for who I am, not what I can provide. I have self-respect. I looked out at the harbor, at the lights reflecting on the water, at the life I'd built for myself after walking away from people who'd treated me like an ATM for over a decade. "The best revenge," I said softly, "isn't making people pay for how they treated you. It's simply refusing to let them treat you that way ever again. It's building something beautiful from the ashes they left behind. It's choosing yourself when everyone else expected you to choose their comfort." Maya raised her wine glass. "To choosing yourself?" "To choosing yourself," I echoed. "Every single time." Sometimes people ask me if I would do things differently. If I could go back to that Wednesday when Marcus called demanding I babysit, would I handle it another way? The answer is always no. I would cancel that trip again. I would walk away again. I would set those boundaries again. Because that decision, painful as it was, gave me something I'd been missing for 12 years. My power back. The Hawaii trip would have been amazing. My family would have loved it. But they would have taken it for granted, just like they took everything else I gave them for granted. They would have enjoyed it, returned home, and immediately started expecting the next thing. Instead, I gave myself something far more valuable than a vacation. I gave myself proof that I was worth more than how they treated me. I gave myself permission to walk away from people who only valued me for what I could provide. I gave myself a future where my worth wasn't measured in dollars spent or favors performed. And that gift to myself, that was priceless. Years from now, maybe my relationship with my parents will heal completely. Maybe Marcus will finally understand what he lost. Maybe the rest of my nibblings will reach out like Caleb did. Or maybe not. Maybe the distance will remain, and that's okay too. Because I learned the most important lesson of all. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect. It's about showing up for each other. It's about valuing people for who they are, not what they can do for you. And anyone who can't offer me that doesn't deserve a place in my life, DNA or not. I canceled a $22,000 vacation, and in return, I got my life back. Best trade I ever made. This is Revenge Stories, a home for quiet courage and true endings. If you feel my words, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Help us build this community so we can bring more interesting and exciting stories for you from around the world. Your help is much appreciated. Your voice matters here. Your story matters too.